All right, Parlayed in Full, Season 1, Episode 4. Little different episode this time. Usually they have a certain type of theme. Like last episode, we got the Super Bowl. Before that, it was NFL playoffs. We're at kind of the changing of the guard in the sports cycle of the year. The month of February after the Super Bowl is usually a pretty boring one, but we're just talking about it. Month of March, things get moving a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot going on. So first of all, I think everybody's synonymous with March is March Madness. So obvious with that. The conference tournaments are always fun. You got the NFL offseason cycle starting, free agency, all that, the draft combine. So that's an interesting time to see where teams are going, what direction they're going in for the next year. Baseball, usually spring training starts. I don't know what's going on with the CBA. Basketball starts to get a little serious. Playoff teams, fringe teams fighting for those spots. Playoff teams start to, get a little serious as they play for the top seeds. And, it's a overlooked time of sports because I think the NFL kind of rules all things in the U.S. So when the NFL is done, it kind of seems like we're going on a downslope, but it really isn't. It's an exciting time. But this weekend we actually had the All-Star game in Cleveland, Ohio. So we went down, checked a couple of that, checked a little bit of that out. It was a great time. It seemed like the city of Cleveland was a great host.
That's at least Twitter made it seem. And there's a lot of events downtown that I feel like we don't see pretty often. Maybe it's different, like every host city just has like hidden stuff like that, but all the celebrities were out and like they're pretty social. People
Yeah. James
like
Worthy sitting at the bar, shit like that. It seemed like people really fucked with Cleveland. Like, seemed like everyone had a good time. Like, even though it was freezing out.
It's
like,
not gonna. That's the thing. The thing about Cleveland, it didn't knock anybody's socks off.
no,
It
but
was just good enough.
yeah.
Like, you
But
got
that's the thing, though. I think people come in with even a lower expectation than good enough. So then when it is good enough, people are like, wow, Cleveland's actually kind of nice. But I mean, we did go down there. Tower City was all set up with stuff. Like, it really seemed nicer than what Tower City normally is. So, like, I think they did a good job. Obviously, the All-Star game, it was the 75th anniversary. I didn't know we also hosted the 50th anniversary and the 35th anniversary. So, it's a little tradition.
35th is such an odd number to
Yeah.
celebrate.
But, I mean, does this line us up 25 years from now to get the 100th anniversary and do the NBA 100 like they did the 75? I don't know, but I mean, it's dope that we, get to host all these anniversaries. All the legends were in town doing the NBA 75. It's rare to see Michael Jordan at events like this. He doesn't really pop out much often, but he was down there. He had a good moment with LeBron. But, usually I'm not too interested in the All-Star game. The dunk contest the past couple of years have been boring. Three-point contest is whatever. The celeb game and Rising Stars is whatever. All-Star game has been more interesting since they did this new format with the target score and all
I like
that.
it a lot better.
But it was a lot more interesting this year, I think, just because it was in Cleveland. It was cool to see the stadium. DG and Jared Allen both as all stars playing in the game. It was a lot of fun. It was a fun weekend. I was more engaged with the All Star game than I have been in recent years, and it's kind of got me ready to pay attention a little more to the NBA the rest of the season.
The NFL needs to take a note from the NBA's book and kind of shapeshift their like Pro Bowl weekend to more games and like mini things going on related to like position groups or like the dodgeball's cool. The world's fastest man was corny. Like
Yeah.
it would be cool seeing like all the quarterbacks compete in quarterback drills.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger, they used to do that. They had like the long
Byron
throw,
Leftwich
yeah,
won the one
versus
before
Carson
the-
Palmer.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, I also think too for the Pro Bowl itself, kind of like the NBA's target score thing. I think the Pro Bowl could use a target
Play
score.
for money and donations, like even though the players aren't getting any, they're still playing for like some pride.
Yeah.
Their charity to like
Almost, they should almost, for it to be more fun, they should almost kind of embrace the fact that it's not an extremely serious game and make it more like a backyard football type, and maybe have that target score like the NBA does. Like, offense has to don't play it like a typical NFL game where there's like 1 through 4th down, clock running.
Like 10 possessions, something like that.
Yeah, play it like like you got to get. There's a lack of defense there. You got to get 15, 20 yards for a first down.
It's like a turkey bowl.
Yeah, like literally like you're playing a turkey bowl. And then if you score, you could go for 1, 2, or 3. Like I don't know. They should really just try to make that more interesting because the Pro Bowl absolutely blows. It's no fun. Nobody watches it. It's the worst event. It's the worst event in all 3 major sports of the whole year.
Yeah.
MLB All-Star Game's always good, competitive. NBA All-Star Game's been good and competitive past
couple years. I feel like
years.
baseball is different because you can't
you
lackadaisically play baseball at that level.
Yeah.
Like if you're just half swinging at like a 102-mile-an-hour fastball, like you just look silly.
Yeah, you're either with baseball, you're either playing or you're not. There's no in between. There's no second gear, third gear. So the baseball one's always fun. I do wish they had more events going on around it too. Home Run Derby is great.
You didn't go to Cooperstown, did you?
No.
We did. It's called an around the horn. Started with your pitcher throwing a pitch, throws down to second, and then around the horn out to left field, center field, some combination, and then the winner, the top 3 got to do it in front of the big championship game crowd. And I think something like that would be cool.
Yeah.
Or a precision throwing from the outfield. There's a target system, something like that.
Baseball in general.
Get charity involved, money involved. The winner of these games get to donate $50,000 to the charity of their choice.
Yeah.
That'll be enough to play for.
The MLB in general just needs to do a better job of getting their players out there, and I think stuff like that maybe the younger generation can relate to and be entertained with, can start to watch stuff like that and really get to know these players. The whole running joke is if you see Mike Trout walking around your local grocery store, you wouldn't recognize him. And for a lot of people that's true. Maybe me and you, we would know that's Mike Trout, but for a lot of people that's true, and that's such a shame because he's literally a generational player.
Joey probably think he's just a hippie or something.
Oh yeah, you'd be like, yeah. But I mean, that is a shame though. Mike Trout is one of the greatest players of all time already, perennial MVP candidate, all that, and people still wouldn't even recognize him, which is just a shame. But that's besides the point. We'll talk about baseball another day once they get that CBA done. I really hope it's soon. I want to see spring training. I don't want to see a delayed season, but it is what it is. We'll deal with that as it goes. But so Super Bowl was a couple weeks ago. Obviously, everyone knows how it ended now. Cooper Kupp goes and catches a go-ahead touchdown late in the game. Bengals have a chance to put a drive together to win the game. They don't do it. There's a couple controversial penalties. A missed call on T. Higgins grabbing the face mask of Jalen Ramsey, which the refs actually did say that there shouldn't have been a call there, even though I think that was just them saving face. And then there was the pass interference on Logan Wilson against Cooper Kupp that was kind of iffy. There really shouldn't have been a pass interference or anything like that. Set the Rams up to go and score, but we all know how it ends. And as history has told us in recent memory, there's a big difference between what you do as a team moving forward after you win the Super Bowl versus after you lose the Super Bowl. And some teams have really screwed it up after they've lost. Some teams have really kept building and been perennial contenders, but there's a big difference, and that I think that leads to the question. We all know the Rams are going to stick around. They still have. We know Sean McVay is a fantastic coach, maybe a generational coach. Stafford has definitely got some left in the bag. You know what you're going to get from him. Cooper Kupp's still young. You know what you're going to get from him. You get Robert Woods back next year. You still have Van Jefferson, possibly Odell returning. Aaron Donald is probably going to return. Who knows? I'm not gonna count him out yet.
He'll return,
but he'll be back. The defense is still, Jalen Ramsey will be back. You know what you're going to get with the Rams. They won the Super Bowl. They're going to be right back in the thick of things next year. So that's, not too much of an interesting topic. But the thing I want to talk about is where do the Cincinnati Bengals go from here? Because in recent years, we've seen teams, it dates back to the Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers back in 2015. They lose the Super Bowl after having a insane regular season. Cam Newton wins MVP. They look great all year. They dominate. I think they went 14-2 or 15-1 or something. They killed the Cardinals in the NFC Championship. End up losing the Super Bowl, and they really haven't been back. I think they made the playoffs once or twice after that, never really got anywhere. Cam hasn't been the same since then. They're on their second head coach since then.
I think it's
new ownership.
Unfair to compare them to them.
It's not. Well, hear me out here. It's just a trend. It's not like I'm saying the Panthers are the Bengals. It's two different scenarios, but it's just a trend. Because then the next year you had the Falcons, who blew the lead in the Super Bowl. Matt Ryan really hasn't been the same since his MVP year that year. They're on another head coach. Dan Quinn's gone. Arthur Smith's in. Really a whole new team there. Julio Jones is gone. All the cornerstone pieces that were there for that team are kind of gone. The year after that, the Patriots lost. The Patriots were the Patriots. They had Brady. They were fine. After that, the Rams lost. And, even though they've gotten back, they still had to go through a little bit of a change. Different quarterbacks, totally different defense. They added Jalen Ramsey, added Von Miller, added Odell Beckham on offense. So different team there, kind of the same situation. So I think it raises an interesting question for the Bengals is like, what happens next, Like, where do you go from here? Obviously, you got the coach you believe you want. You would say the same thing about the Eagles a couple years ago with Doug Peterson. They thought they had a coach for many years to come. Obviously, that wasn't the case. Bengals think they have Zach Taylor. He's a great coach. As of now, yes, I would agree. We don't know how that's going to play out, though. You got the superstar quarterback, Joe Cool, Joe Shiesty, whatever you want to call him. As it seems you do. Like you said, this is an unfair comparison, I know. But if you asked Browns fans last year about Baker Mayfield, they're saying the same things. This is our guy. This is the future. A year goes by, the conversation changes. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Burrow, but the question's there.
I think that's a reach there. Like, the only thing you really have to worry about is his potential knee. Like,
that's a part of it, though.
Yeah, but you can't really worry about the injuries.
Carson Wentz was going to win MVP that year. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. He goes out with an injury. Nick Foles plays, wins Super Bowl MVP. Next year you're thinking Wentz is going to be back to that, MVP form, and he hasn't been the same since then. I'm just saying the NFL is weird like that. Things change. We haven't seen the same. Cam Newton goes out and has one of the best seasons of all time in 2015. We think we're going to get that Cam for years to come. He hasn't been the same since. Like I said, I'm not saying that's going to happen with Burrow, but it's a possibility. We just don't know. Obviously, Mahomes has transcended that as he's done it year after year after year. Brady, Rodgers, those guys done it year after year, showed that, they're going to keep getting it done. We've only really seen one great year from Joe Burrow. Is he a guy that every year gets it done? We don't know yet. It's easy to say, yeah, right now. But if you ask about Carson Wentz after that year, you're thinking he's your guy.
I think the big difference between, if you're trying to make, I know you're not trying to make this comparison. Wentz when I don't think he won anything in high school. He didn't go to like a power. He went to a division. They're not D2. They're FCS, right?
Yeah, North Dakota State.
They're a good team, but they're no like Ohio State, LSU. Joe Burrow took like a weak Athens team to like a state championship. I think he's just, you can't really, I'm not like questioning Burrow, if anything. It's more their front office. How are they going to build around him knowing that he's going to have a huge deal coming up? Jamar Chase is going to have a huge deal. T. Higgins is probably going to have a big deal. Boyd's probably not going to be around.
As sad as it seems, because he's,
he helped build like the.
But that's the kind of where I'm going with is like the teams that go to the Super Bowl and lose, especially with this Bengals team who's been bad for the past couple of years. Like these fans and the team really, you want to get that group back together. Like I said, you don't want to lose a Tyler Boyd, you don't want to lose a Jermaine Pratt, you don't want to lose a Larry Ogunjobi, because you rally around these guys, you root for them for 20 games, a 20-game stretch. Like, you're really connected to these guys, and the front office probably feels the same way. But that's the thing with these teams that lose a Super Bowl. Sometimes they get too distracted with bringing back guys they have like that emotional connection with, and lose sight of what's really best for the team, and keep building this team up to be perennial contenders. And I think that's something the Rams have done perfectly, is they've forgot all their connections to certain players, trade players here. Jared Goff took us a Super Bowl. All right, he's not the complete answer. He's not getting us over the hump. Let's go get Matt Stafford. Things like that. You have a chance to go get Odell Beckham Jr. even though you have 3 good starting receivers. Go get him. You have a chance to go get Von Miller. Go get him. And that's what's tough with, like I said, these teams that lose. They still feel those connections to certain guys that have good years, singled out years. Well, they, like the Bengals especially, they brought in a lot of veterans this year to help, with a rebuild, bring a veteran presence in the room. They end up making a Super Bowl. A lot of these guys have good years, but how much more can you get out of them, and can you even get any more out of them is a big question with a lot of these guys, because you got to think about it as like this Bengals team wasn't really building this year to win the Super Bowl. Obviously, for every team, the cliche is Super Bowl or bust. Yeah, I get that. But really, this Bengals team, the same roster, goes out and has 9 wins this year. The Bengals fan base is probably increasingly happy. Joe Burrow's looking like a great quarterback still. And, you're very happy with the team, but you're not totally there with the rebuild yet. Instead, they go out, they win 10, they make a playoff run, they win the AFC North, make a playoff run, get to the Super Bowl and lose. And now you're kind of throwing them up there with those elite teams that have done it year in and year out. And I get it, they got over the hump this year, they got to the Super Bowl, but are they really on that level yet, or do they need to keep building? And that's where
I don't know if anybody's really saying they're at that level yet. Like,
that's the conversation every time, though. It's like, all right, we'll be back.
Yeah, but
you ask a Bengals fan what they think about this year, it's like, oh, it sucks, but we'll be back.
Yeah, you and other people are forgetting that their O-line was still pretty bad down the stretch, and you can't be letting your quarterback take his licks like that. Their secondary was good for some reason, but they're not that talented. But they were just playing well. So
that's where I'm getting at. They overperform. So then you feel like you want to run it back, make your little improvements here, like the O-line, maybe add a DB. But was this team really geared, or do you have to keep kind of, not the rebuild process obviously, but are you still kind of taking it like, okay, we're not there yet?
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
So it's just I think I like this Bengals team. I do. I think they're good. I bet on them the Super Bowl. They covered. I like them all year as a team that covered the spread a lot. But I just don't know if I just think it's going to be a real interesting conversation over the next couple of years as where they go as a team. And it's not always the teams that make the Super Bowl and lose. It happened with the Browns last year. The same thing. We lose to the Chiefs in a close one, and we're like, all right, we just got to improve in a couple little spots. Like we did. We went out and got John Johnson, Troy Hill, Jadeveon Clowney. So we improve in a couple spots, draft well, and it's like, all right, well, we'll be back. Well, the things don't always just work out like that. Baker gets hurt and struggles. Chubb misses some time. Kareem Hunt misses some time. The whole Odell situation goes south. Jarvis misses some time. Myles Garrett has an outstanding year. Jadeveon Clowney plays well, but still things didn't really work out how we wanted them to. And so it's like it takes you back to last year's. Maybe we weren't there as a team yet. Maybe we overperformed and then didn't really improve in the right spots. And, now we're back at square one. It's like, all right, how do we become a playoff team again? And so it's just an interesting conversation because it's just so hard. Where do you go from here after losing a Super Bowl? Because you're so close. And the conversation is so different if you win. Because if you win, it's like, yeah, run it back. We're the best team in the NFL. Why would we? Yeah. What's there to change? There's nothing to improve. But now, that one little 3-point game, they almost tied at the end. You're that close. How is the line? How is there such a big gap in between? front office has proven they draft well, they sign well. So I mean, I'd rather them not be great the next couple years, but I think they will be. I just think there's reason to be concerned for Bengals fans. Like, hey, it's not just going to be a cakewalk to the Super Bowl every year just because we went there once.
Oh yeah, I mean that's like most sports too. People fall in that little lull.
The AFC is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's going to be solid for sure.
Now, my next point with that is everybody loves Joe Burrow. Everybody's in on Joe Shiesty, Joe Cool. But I still think the verdict's out on him. I don't know. He didn't really impress me too much in this postseason run. Defense wins him the game against the Titans, no doubt. He played well against the Raiders. We all know the Raiders were probably the worst of any of the playoff teams this year. They kind of snuck by in that one. It wasn't anything close. And at the end of the game, it was Joe Mixon icing the game for them. They handed the ball to Joe Mixon. They passed the ball, short passes to Joe Mixon. Titans game, defense shows out, wins the game. Bengals only have to put up, 16 points to win that one. McPherson drilling, 50-plus yarders, this and that. Chiefs game. Chiefs only put up 3 points in the second half. Yeah, the Bengals offense had to score. Chiefs defense hasn't really been good all year. Jamar Chase is an absolute game changer. All you got to do is throw the ball up to him, and he's making plays, and he's beating the defense.
I think you're just being a hater, man. Like, I don't know. Like, it might not have been his play, but, like, his charisma and, like, his leadership led them. So I don't know how you're going to say
We're saying that about Baker last year.
But he didn't take us to the Super Bowl.
You're saying that about him getting us to the playoffs and getting us a win against the Steelers in the playoffs.
Joe Burrow's level of play took him over Baker.
I'm not comparing him to Baker. I'm just saying the charisma argument is kind of invalid because.
No, you're.
Let me put it like this.
You're saying it as a Browns fan, but
no, I'm not. I'm not. I'm saying it as
a hater.
No, I like Joe Burrow. I just don't think he's as good as the media makes him out to be. This was a good Bengals team that got great efforts from their defense. Playing well in the red zone, forced a lot of turnovers, had 2 interceptions on Matthew Stafford in the Super Bowl. And what did the Bengals do? Got a field goal after one of them. And then also, early on in the game, he throws it up. Jamar Chase makes a one-handed grab, big play. Bengals end up with the field goal. Yeah, play calling. Okay. End of the game. You got to drive. You got time. You got timeouts. All you got to do is get in field goal range. Field goal range for a kicker that's hitting from 55-plus yards. You have all the offensive weapons on the field.
You must forget who they were going against. That Rams defense was tough. They were stout the whole season.
Okay, but if he's this great, top, up there with Allen and Mahomes, all I saw is the AFC divisional game, Mahomes and Allen constantly get it done anytime they had a chance. That was the whole dilemma with that game is Mahomes got the chance in overtime and he went and got it done. Allen didn't get that chance to answer because before that, back and forth, Mahomes scoring, Allen scoring, they both got it done. Joe Burrow, I don't know. He didn't get it done. He has a chance. Forget the defense. Yeah, it's a great defense, whatever. He has a chance. This offense has a chance to go. All they have to do is literally get in field goal range. And they're at midfield with a 2nd and 1. A 2nd and 1 near midfield. You have to go maybe 20 yards at the most to get them in field goal range. And they couldn't do it. And I'm not saying he's like an average quarterback or anything. He's obviously above average. He's obviously a great quarterback. But I'm just saying he isn't this, mega superstar that the media has him out to be yet. That was only his 2nd year. So it's not coming from a place of hate. I think he's going to get there, but I think we need to slow the conversation just a little bit on putting him up there with those guys that continuously deliver anytime they get a chance.
What would it take for him to be at that level, in your eyes, then?
Next year, you got to get back. You got to show that this wasn't just a 1-year thing.
Same exact postseason happens. Plays good few games, defense carries him in another few games. What is it going to be the same argument?
Then it's the conversation we have about Aaron Rodgers is he's a great regular season quarterback. Aaron Rodgers right now, obviously back-to-back MVPs, we know what he can do, but he's lost He's only been in the Super Bowl once. He loses continuously every year. Back-to-back years, or this year the 49ers, the year before to the Buccaneers. Like I said, he had a chance too. He had a chance to get it done with the game on the line. And obviously LaFleur, the conversation shifted to Matt LaFleur deciding to take a field goal instead of going for it there. But if you forget, Aaron Rodgers had 3 downs to make something happen, and he couldn't. And now everyone talks about Aaron Rodgers as a guy that can't get it done. And I think that, it's possible that same conversation can be had about Joe Burrow in the future.
It's hard for me to hear this because, like, a quarterback is insane, but quarterbacks aren't like on the field when the defense is on the field. Like, you need all 11 players. I shouldn't say all 11. 7 out of the 11, like, playing. And if they're not, you're going to lose that game most likely in the playoffs. Because the other players are.
But, you're talking about a defense that picked off Matt Stafford twice.
No. I'm talking more about the Rodgers there.
But that's even more reason to have this conversation about Burrow then. Then you're cutting Rodgers some slack then for losing those games.
He's a great quarterback. And quarterbacks.
And we know Aaron Rodgers can deliver regular season after regular season after regular season. We don't know that about Joe Burrow. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Joe Burrow is going to end up sucking next year and not getting back to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we need to hit the brakes on these conversations about him. We need to hit the brakes on the hype because this was, and I think a lot of Bengals fans would agree, that this was a Bengals team that was good all around. It wasn't all Joe Burrow. Matter of fact, it was probably a little more Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon than it was Joe Burrow. I mean,
I don't know if I could get behind that, but I can see an argument for that.
I mean, look at Joe Burrow his rookie year versus Joe Burrow this year. What's the difference? He had Jamar Chase this year. Yeah. I'm just saying it's not all Joe Burrow. It's not, everything's not just because of him. He didn't just people act like he just single-handedly took this Bengals team to a Super Bowl. That's just not the case.
Yeah.
And I think we need to relax that conversation a little bit. And that's what if Aaron Rodgers were to make the Super Bowl, it'd be a little more true. It'd be like, well, Rodgers and Devontae Adams kind of carried them to the Super Bowl because that's kind of the case because their defense has fucking blown in the playoffs the past couple years. So I just think the conversation needs to slow down just a little bit on Joe Burrow. I think we need to take it easy. I think we need to give him a few years before we crown him. Not even a few years. Let him show me next year. Let him prove it next year, and then he's ready to be crowned with Allen and Mahomes and, well, Rodgers might retire, Brady's retired. But those are the kind of the top dogs right now, and I think that's more than fair to say.
No, I mean, that's reasonable. You're making kind of like the obvious statements, like, we need more time,
But it's not obvious because everybody's obsessed with him right now.
It's because he's just in the limelight right now. People were... I shouldn't say that about Jimmy G, but when people go far, they like making just blasphemous, outlandish statements. But that, this type of statement isn't too outlandish because he's somewhat proven. You can't say he doesn't.
But that's my point, though. Is people were saying that about Jimmy G back then? Is okay, he's somewhat proven. When he first stepped in with the 49ers and they won 5 games in a row to end out the 1 year, and then the next year they go to the Super Bowl, the conversation was Jimmy G he's pretty proven, and then he stinks it up in the Super Bowl, misses tons of throws, and then all of a sudden, kind of an average quarterback the past couple years. He got him back to the NFC Championship this year, but he's just an average quarterback, and now it's he was just an average guy the whole time. But the conversation at the time of the Super Bowl was Jimmy G's the guy.
You're just being a little I don't know the right word. You just quick pulling the trigger. Just let it mature a little bit.
I'm saying it doesn't have to be the case, but I'm just saying let's slow our roll because people do this every year with a new quarterback. It's it happened with Matt Ryan, happened with Cam Newton. Cam Newton was probably the MVP favorite the next year after he won MVP, and we haven't seen any Cam remotely close to that in years.
A big thing to do with that is the car accident too.
That was before.
Was it?
Yeah, that was the year before. They went 7-8-1, made the playoffs, lost to the Seahawks, and then the following year after that, Seahawks went on to play the Patriots in the Super Bowl and lose. And the following year after that was Cam's MVP year. Because the whole thing was they won 4 in a row after the car accident, and then they went on that 15-1 regular season. So they were undefeated after the car accident for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I like Joe Burrow. I do. It doesn't seem like it, but someone's got to wear the black hat and have this conversation, because it's gotten a little out of hand with the sweating of Joe Burrow. Joe Shiesty is his nickname. That's what everyone calls him now. I'm not going to finish that sentence. I was going to say something really just horrible, but I'm not going to finish it. I think you could have saw where I was going with it, but I'll just let it go. He failed to get it done in my eyes. He didn't really impress me on this playoff run as much as everyone else seems like it. His team impressed me. His defense really impressed me. Jamar Chase really impressed me. His coach didn't really impress me, play calling wise. But that's the same for every coach. People complain about McVay's play calling still. People complain about Kyle Shanahan's play calling still. They ain't getting fired anytime soon, I'll tell you that. So, Zach Taylor's cool in my book, but I don't know. I just think there's moral of the story, there's a lot of questions for the Bengals over this next year. It's a very telling year for them, much like it was for the Browns last year.
Yeah, I would. Those are good comparisons.
What we do know is they're more apt to get it done than the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens haven't.
Okay.
The Bengals have.
You meant like from an off-season wise.
No, the Bengals have shown to be that they're a little more for real than the Ravens already. And I know Lamar was hurt last year, but he was healthy the year before. He was healthy the year before that when he won MVP. Still couldn't really go anywhere. So, they've obviously, they can get there. It's just a matter of handling things right over this next year. But football season's over. We'll talk about free agency when we get there. That's enough of that. So, you want to talk about a little bit of NBA?
Yeah, I mean it's where I'm kind of in an NBA hangover right now because the All-Star game. You get those 3 days are like you're seeing all the NBA players do stuff they wouldn't. Like the league is like kind of exciting for those few days, even though the All-Star game they aren't going hard.
Yeah.
Like they did in like the 90s or stuff like that, but according to AI,
they like to remind, like every player from that era likes to remind us every day that they went harder in the 90s.
But I mean, it's exciting for the Cavs right now. We haven't in our lifetime been able to say that the Cavs were relevant without LeBron.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like culture. I wouldn't say culture shock, but like most people, like the general public, thought we were going to be kind of ass again, like lottery, like lower lottery pick. No one was sure about Mobley, but our philosophy is insane. Just get length and a few playmakers. And Garland has been almost more fun to watch than Kyrie in his first little true blossoming years.
It's a weird year. You got the Lakers kind of falling apart, not really they're a couple games out of a playoff spot. The Clippers without Kawhi and PG are staying afloat. Everyone's praising Ty Lue as the best coach in the NBA now. You got the whole James Harden and Ben Simmons trade saga. You're going to have Ben Simmons, KD, and Kyrie in Brooklyn, along with Goran Dragic, who just signed there today, Patty Mills. They just have a great team, Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge. And then the Sixers, who are playing great basketball. Joel Embiid's the MVP favorite midway through the season, adding James Harden. Who really knows what version of James Harden you're going to get? He seems to be happy and committed there, but that's what we thought about him in Brooklyn last year. So I don't really know about that. Then you got the Cavs in the thick of things there and hanging around the 3 to 5 seed range.
And the Celtics are heating up too.
Celtics are really playing good. They've
Great
blown
time for an
out.
All-Star break.
Yeah, almost a momentum killer for them.
Yeah.
The Cavs lost 2 in a row before the break as well, but I think they'll be fine. But yeah, Celtics heating up. Obviously, defending champs. The Bucks have the best player in the league, Giannis. They're going to be around. And then the 1 seed in the East right now, the Miami Heat, no one really seems to be talking about. And, Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo have both missed a healthy amount of time, and they're still winning games. Kyle Lowry just kind of wins wherever he goes. I hated him when we were playing against him every year with the Cavs when he was in Toronto, but I've kind of come around to, he might be more valuable than a lot of people think.
Nah, I got respect for him.
And, Jimmy Butler, always competitive, always gets it done. So the Heat we're talking about 6 real teams in the East, that anything can happen. All of them kind of, besides the Bucks, all of them kind of unproven. The Celtics haven't gotten to the finals. The Bucks are the only ones who've won it. The Cavs haven't been anywhere since LeBron, and without LeBron in the last 25 years haven't done anything. So we don't know about them. The Sixers haven't gotten over the hump. Celtics haven't gotten over the hump. The Heat have gotten there and lost. That was the bubble year, kind of. I'm not one to shame the bubble championships and all that, but it raises some questions. I don't know if that was as accurate as it really could be. So it's gonna make for a really interesting month of April, and come playoff time, these series are gonna be intense, especially the second round. Once the 8, 7, 6 seeds are probably gonna end up losing. Not even really the 6, 8, 7 seeds get out. That second round's gonna be packed. Whatever happens in there.
I could see the Celtics just staying around the 7 seed.
Yeah. They're a team of runs. They go on a stretch of 5 and dominate, and then they lose a couple to the Pistons.
But
it's
if you're a team like that though, when it comes down to playoff time, no matter who you're playing, you're confident with your team over any team. I feel like they just weren't trying early. Jaylen Brown and Tatum, when they play together, are so pure and work well off each other, but they just weren't. I know Brown was hurt for a little bit, but
and you notice I forgot to mention the Nets, who I think they're in the 9 seed right now. It doesn't matter what seed they are; they're probably gonna win their first series, whatever the playoff series is. That would
just be the Cavs' luck without LeBron.
End up playing KD and Kyrie.
Prime Jordan those years, and then snag ourselves a 2 seed, and then playing
KD and Kyrie just have that ability to turn it on when they need to. I really do think Ben Simmons is going to be good for them. Obviously, there's a bad rap and a dark cloud over Ben Simmons because of poor play in the playoffs last year and the whole saga this year, whatever was going on there. But he's still a great player, and I think people forget that. He's still almost, capable of averaging a near triple-double. If he just is a little more assertive with the ball and, has less defensive attention like he will in Brooklyn, he's going to be good.
Yeah.
And they're so deep. They got 8 great players on that team. So, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. So there's really 7 teams in the East that could all get after it. The West, however, you got Suns and the Warriors up top, having great regular seasons. Not much talk about the Suns. Chris Paul is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. He'll be back for the playoffs. The Suns will be great. Obviously, the Warriors, Steph, Clay, Draymond still there. Andrew Wiggins has been good this year. They've picked up a couple pieces in between that have all been effective. Had a couple high draft picks from their bad years. Clay is going to get back in the full swing of things, so they're going to be good. Memphis is a fun young team.
They're enjoy.
They'll be fun to watch in a playoff series.
I'm not.
They could get to round 2. They probably will get to round 2.
They gotta get a favorite draw. I really like the Jazz this year for some reason.
See, I have no faith in the Jazz ever.
I don't either, but that's the thing.
They can never get it done. They're just
That's what they want you to think this year.
That's what they've wanted us to think since 2017.
this is the year that they most want you
I mean, I just don't think the Jazz are really built to win in the playoffs. I think they're just like built to win in the regular season. Like Gobert's a regular season player. In the playoffs, he gets exposed by whatever big man he goes up against. Donovan Mitchell, I've never really liked Donovan Mitchell because I've always been impartial to Jason Tatum. So when that whole thing was going on, I always kind of sided with Tatum. I'm not big on Mitchell. I mean, he's a good player, obviously. But I just don't think like this is a team that can really get after in the playoffs. Jordan Clarkson's a great regular season player too. I don't know what he can really do in the playoffs. He fucking sucked for the Cavs in the playoffs. I like him though.
He was all right last year.
So, I mean, the only Jazz player I really liked was Joe Ingles, and he's gone. So
I think that was holding him back.
Joe Ingles,
Yeah.
Jingles can't hold
running
him
the
back.
offense for them sometimes.
I mean, they'll probably snag a 3 to 4 seed and maybe win round 1, but I don't know. The Nuggets, the verdict's still out on them too. Who knows about the Nuggets?
Jamal's out for the year, right?
I don't even know. Like they're just such a Jokic is not really that entertaining to watch. I kind of disregard the Nuggets. The Lakers will probably win round 1 if they can get any seed but the 7 or 8. Like if they could snag a 6 seed, they'll probably win round 1, but if they are 7 or 8 and have to play the Suns or Warriors, they're probably losing. Yeah. Unless they luck out and the Grizzlies get the 2 seed or something and they get 7 and get to play Memphis, then maybe they can sneak one, but I don't know, man. They're just cooked, I think. Russ is a cooked product. LeBron is having an MVP caliber year, and it's just going to waste because the rest of the team is just not good. Really not good.
I mean, when you think about LeBron's best teams, there were shooters all around him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Malik Monk has been an all-right shooter this year, and Reeves is starting to come to his own as a rookie, but
the whole Russ experiment.
It was like a 3-and-D like wing philosophy they tried going with this year, which like
same thing with last year. Like that's why it didn't work out with Montrezl Harrell. Like he just not the LeBron needs like a stretch 4, and AD's kind of tried to be that, and he's really not, and he keeps getting hurt. So who knows what's gonna happen there? But I don't want to kick a guy while he's down. But I mean, damn man, it seems like he gets hurt fucking every 2 weeks. It's ridiculous. Anytime he comes back, he plays a couple games, gets hurt. And he was really starting to play well too, so it's a shame. But, I mean, it's just frustrating at a certain point. Because I do want to root for LeBron, you know? I'm not as religious of a LeBron fan as I used to be, but I still want him to do well. I want him to be recognized as either the greatest or the second greatest player ever. And I don't want to keep hearing arguments about how he loses early in the playoffs and stuff like that, because it's just kind of empty arguments. But so I want him to do good, and I just don't think this is the year. I think he's probably going to leave LA after this year unless they do a total overhaul for the 3rd straight year, really. 2nd straight year, actually. Yeah. But I don't know. I could honestly, like I said, I want him to do good, and I want them to be all right, but I can honestly care less. I wouldn't necessarily be mad if he came back to the Cavs, but at the same time, I don't know if I'd be happy. Which is a weird conversation because it's like, all right, he's the best player of all time. He's one of the best players of all time. Excuse me. He is having an MVP caliber year, but he just has this ability to, change rosters when he wants and really kind of control how a team plays. And I really like how the Cavs are playing, and it's nice that, we have something building on our own. Sure, if LeBron comes back, we might win a championship, but also we might set ourselves up for implosion in another 2 years when he leaves again or retires or whatever it is. And I don't want to go through that again. I really don't. We got our championship in 2016. I want to see what we can build now.
I don't think we'll take him back unless ownership change, just because he's been through that twice. Gilbert's given him LeBron literally everything. He's left him twice to get a championship and then to get a different type of market, the business side of things. And I really don't think the Cavs will take Bronny. If they take Bronny, they know what they're doing.
That's just an ultimate like move by LeBron to say that, because right now I don't know if Bronny's like, I don't think he's like a top prospect or anything. Like,
no, he's trying to pull kind of like a LeVar.
Yeah, actually.
Like LiAngelo. Like, yeah, LiAngelo's nice, but
yeah.
Wait till all three of my sons make the league.
Yeah, he is really pulling a LeVar. Like, he's honestly, no disrespect to Bronny, but he's honestly forcing Bronny's way into the NBA, because there's gonna be a team out there. After LeBron said that this weekend, there's gonna be a team out there that brings in Bronny just to get LeBron.
I'd love for like the Pistons to like snag Bronny.
I know. I don't really want it to be us. I want LeBron to go somewhere random. But I saw a tweet. I forget who was tweeting it, but they made a good point. As LeBron said, LeBron didn't say once Bronny gets to the league, he's gonna play there. He's gonna play his last year with Bronny, wherever that is. He might still have 4 to 5 years left in the tank. You know,
definitely. Yeah.
He's not gonna waste
the same level he's playing at now.
I don't know. Well, that's what this tweet kind of was saying, is like he's not gonna waste his years at a high level playing wherever Bronny is. Like, if he's got, these 30-point per game years left, he's gonna play on a contender and he's gonna try and win championships. But that year when he has his, Mike with the Wizards was still kind of in the MVP conversation, but LeBron's gonna kind of go on the downturn when he's averaging 20 to 22 a game. That's when he'll go to, a lesser team to play with Bronny. I hope it's honestly like, my guess, my random prediction right now is I think the Heat will be on the turn of a rebuild. Lowry will be gone. I think Jimmy Butler will probably be on the downswing at that point. Bam Adebayo will be gone. And I think they'll bring in Bronny, and Bron will go back to Miami and end his career in Miami.
I'm seeing Pistons or Magic for some reason, just like a shit organization. Like, you know what? Let's get some jersey sales. Let's get some.
It'd honestly be ironic if it was the Wizards too.
Yeah, it kind of would.
That'd be kind of cool. I wouldn't mind that, seeing him and
his career. They changed the uniforms
back to the
Gilbert Arenas, the gold.
Yeah.
Shoot my shot like in Gilbert Arenas.
Other than that, I don't really know. I don't think there's much else.
Nah, just the perfect time of weather or the year right now. The weather's changing a little bit. Punxsutawney Tom, wasn't that his name? The
Groundhog?
Yeah.
That was Phil. Punxsutawney Phil.
It might have been Phil.
It is.
As fuck now.
Yeah. Phil. Yeah. No.
And I never really believed in it. Well,
it's
animal, not the guy.
It's bullshit. 100%.
I believed it so hard when I was young.
I know. I used to get sick. I know. Speaking of another weeks of waiting, let's talk about Lil Durk not dropping on. Oh my God, man. Range of emotions.
When I saw he posted that video of Aha, and he said like, "This is what y'all been waiting for," I was like, "Damn, he's not gonna drop this."
Yeah, but it's just so stupid. Like, he put on a story earlier in the day, like, "I missed the All-Star halftime to give y'all this album," and then midnight. Like, dude, that so clearly is stating the album's coming at midnight. India posted album at midnight. He's been teasing it for weeks. I'm dropping the same 2/22/22. It just didn't drop. But it's not just him. Rappers do this all the time. It's like, dude, is this such like a hard concept? Like, don't drop a release date until you know you're gonna drop on that day.
Speaking of 2/22/22, I was in a sauna over Christmas break, and this guy comes up to me and he's like, "There's gonna be something major that happens on 2/22/22." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Just something major." And that's pretty much all he said.
Yeah. It is prophetic.
Crazy. I mean, I'd consider a Durk album pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Or like the World War III started.
Like maybe like
I would have to go find that guy somehow, somewhere, if you knew that.
I think you might be able to find him outside Constantino's.
He just like hunched over and he looked at me and he's like, "You know what's gonna happen on 2/22/22?" I'm like, "What, man?" Something crazy. Then the
some crazy is.
I'm like, I couldn't see the guy anymore.
Some crazy is Parlayed in Full episode 4. But all right, I think that's a wrap for this one. We're getting into the fucking terrible jokes section of the pod. That's when you know it's a wrap. So cold ending. We'll see you guys in the next one.